All right, we are live. Welcome, family, to another show. Today, we have a very good show today. We're going to be talking about what is your definition of a third world country. I want to clarify some things, my opinion on that as well. I want to hear from you guys as well. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. Also, shout out to the Black Men Travels 2.0 Facebook group as well. Tonight, we have a little bit of a double header, man. We're going to do the first half of the show pretty much here. Then we're going to do another show on our guys, my friends, Richie Mack's channel. All right, we're going to be doing Brazil versus Thailand. So when we finish up this show, this is going to be somewhat of a short show. We're going to all migrate over to Richie Mack's channel. Let me go ahead and see who's in the chat, and we're going to get the party rolling. All right. Shout out to Jabs are stiff in the building. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to Global Paper in the building. What up, Global Paper? Oh, yeah. Fred More Dreams. What's happening to BMT? I got to see you some Hawks gear out there in Thailand. Shout out to the Hawks, man. The Hawks clinched that last seed in the playoffs. Definitely going to be checking them out during the playoffs, man. I think we play Miami tomorrow. That's what's up. Shout out to Dutchy. So let me tell you guys what spawned this conversation. Now, this is not the first time I've heard it in the comment section before, previously, why do single men, why do bachelors like traveling to third world countries and all that? But what really kicked it off this time was I was out last night, just milling around 808, outside of 808. That's the nightclub out here on Walking Street. And I ran into some American women, basically, a group of, some were black, some were white. And we had like a little small conversation, how where you from, this, that, and the other. And within that conversation, the question was asked. She was like, well, let me ask you a question. Like, why did you chose Thailand, or why did you choose Brazil? Because I told her what all countries I've been to, and they told me what countries they've been to. And she was like, it seems like to me that a lot of guys like third world countries. Why is that? That was a question that was posed to me. And I said, well, what's your definition of a third world country? And she was like, oh, well, I know the dictionary definition of it, but my personal definition of it is lack of infrastructure, lack of governance, stuff like that, right? That's what she said. And I'm like, well, we're sitting in a country that might be considered to some as a third world country. And as you can see, we're surrounded by infrastructure. If you wasn't, within the infrastructure as American tourists, we probably wouldn't be as comfortable. And obviously there's a government here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be safe to be here. So what truly is a third world country? And I hear this just not from them, but just from people in general, especially in the comment section. But before even I started traveling, I would hear things like, hey, man, be careful. Brazil's a third world country. Hey, man, be careful. Colombia is a third world country. And that always, when I envision a third world country before I started traveling, I'm thinking about, guerrilla fighters coming out of jungles and, bombs going off and just the infrastructure, all types of terrorism going on. That's what I thought that a third world country is. But as I look up the definition of what a third country, well, the terminology, let's say this, where the terminology originally came from, where did it originate? And you can see at the top of the comment section, some of you guys have already mentioned it. Yes, I know Brazil's not third world. What's up? Shout out to Man tomorrow. This is a good topic, so we can go on this all night. Man tomorrow says what she meant to say: lack of feminist control. Exactly. All right. So I want to post this comment right here made by Jabs are stiff. Most people get those terms wrong. A third world country is Cold War terminology. It simply means a country not aligned with the West or countries in the Soviet bloc. Well, the former Soviet Union. All right. Now let me pull up here, right here. Let me show this on the screen for the fam. Hold on. Let me show you what the definition is. All right. Of a third world country. Just to clarify some things real quick, right? So here we have in many countries, when people hear the phrase third world country, visions of impoverished countries struggling to meet basic human needs are the first to pop up. All right. But the original definition of a third world country refers to nations that lack an alliance with either the U.S. or the former Soviet Union during the Cold War. So anybody that didn't align themselves during the Cold War, World War, I believe it was World War II, they were seen as a third world country. And we take this definition, right, and we take what the Western media, you know, programs us with, basically, what the broadcasters, and we make our own definition of what a third world country is. Basically, a poor country with not a lot of opportunity to move up from the poor to the middle class. Also, with lack of surrounding infrastructure, subways, transportations, hospitals, stuff like that. Now, keep in mind that people in American society still have a, you know, let's say, an aged view of what a third world country is. Many people would refer to South America as a third world country. But I can tell you right now, I was in Brazil for 7 months. It's anything but a third world country. Now, I will be honest with you guys. It's not as polished, all right, or the infrastructure is not as good as North America. You know, that's just a given. You got major cities like New York, Atlanta, Miami, DC. That does have a powerful infrastructure as well as a lot of opportunities. All right, a lot of opportunities well into the financial sector. You can get your credit right. You can open up businesses. It's easy. I'm not gonna say it's easy to move up the financial ladder, but it's not as difficult as it would possibly be in some of these other foreign countries. All right. Now, when we talk about third world, some people can also reference third world as your Western dollar, your American dollar could be very strong in comparisons to theirs. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a third world country. It's just more of a powerful country because of the financial sector within our American infrastructure, basically. All right. Shout out to Black Haven. He says, white people came up with the term third world country. They consider only European superpower countries first world. Exactly. And the purpose of this show, guys, was really to let you guys know that don't let anybody, hold on, here we go. Let me get that right. I don't want people to misconstrue that and for them to, you know, kind of warn them off or be fearful of traveling outside of the United States when you hear that term third world. Because a lot of people are traveling the world right now to these quote unquote third world countries where in some instances you actually have more freedom than you would, let's say, in America. All right. Now, I was watching a video. Oh man, I forgot the YouTuber's name, but it was the interview by I believe it was an economist. And he was mentioning the opportunities that people from the West and Americans have in these quote unquote third world countries. All right. I'll give it to you. And this is his example, not mine. But he was just saying that, you know, in America, it is difficult to bribe a cop. Now, we know in America, America is corrupt. All right. America is definitely corrupt. But when you start traveling, you will see that the governance in some of these countries, I'm not going to mention which country, is very liberal towards, let's say, donations. All right. Especially from Americans. All right. So everybody's pretty much saying in the comment section, I define the term not within Western and European countries. So that's the whole point. All right, guys, and I'm glad that a lot of guys are making these comments in the comment section, letting people know that, hey, man, you know, don't let a third world country title or definition that countries have outside of America, don't let that stop you from traveling. All right. When I first started traveling, I used to hear it all the time. Why you want to go to a third world country? You're in the best country in the world. Why would you want to leave this country? Fellas, it's safe in most of the places that we vacation to, we travel to, is relatively safe, and your American dollar goes a whole lot further. And I would say the dating culture of some of these countries are more, let's just say, in men's favor. And when you take, you know, women that's used to having it their way within the countries that we come from originally, the Western culture, You got feminism, and you got all types of stuff going on in the West right now, which makes it kind of difficult to date or build a family or invest in a family structure. Then you can come to these quote unquote third world countries, and you see that the culture of dating and relationships in most cases is a little bit better. All right. Yeah, there you go. Mike M said, no mad Catholics. Yes, you're correct. You are absolutely correct. Shout out to Doug No Music in the building. I haven't heard from you in a while. Shout out to you, bro. Now, Suge Out Cold made a good comment. He says they're a part of the U.S. that could pass for third world. That's very true. Southwest Atlanta could pass for third world country. Lock and Loaded asked, am I still in Brazil? No, I am currently in Thailand. All right. Now, I will say this about Thailand. The infrastructure is very nice. The buildings are very nice. The prices for food here are pretty moderate, to low. Any area you in where it's going to be a lot of Americans and Westerners, they're going to be, have that somewhat of a gringo attachment. But if you go outside a little bit further, away from, the main little tourist area, you'll find that the food is very reasonable here. Shout out to Dead Ass. South Atlanta is interesting. Yeah, Atlanta like a war zone from the news, from what I see. All right, let me read this by Mr. Gigi Zero Money Down Real Estate Structure. He says, but notice the people who question you either never travel or actually are programmed to believe that North America is the only main country in the world. It's crazy at BMT. Very true. Shout out to my dude, Jay Clyde, in the building. He says, salute from San Andreas, Colombia. Salute to you, Jay Clyde. That's what's up. Hope you enjoy yourself. Black Haven says, Memphis is a third world city. Okay, I hear that. I hear that. Definitely hear that. Yeah, but to go back to what Mr. Gigi was saying, that is very true. A lot of people. It's funny, man, because people are starting to get, especially in our community, Black community, you are seeing more and more people start to travel. All right, I know plenty of people that love Colombia. Plenty of people love Brazil, and some people might say, "Well, are you losing certain things or certain comforts that you would have in, let's say, in their terminology, a first world country?" And I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's very minute, the things that you would miss coming from, living in America, right? Little things like, I would say, dryers is a big thing. Like, I've been to 4 or 5 countries. Nobody uses dryers. They air dry everything. That's something to get used to, because in America we have dryers. We have washers and dryers. Little stuff like that. I've seen overly. I would even say I've never really been through a situation with the police, but a lot of my friends have in these countries. The police, you have to interact with them definitely a certain way, especially in Colombia and Brazil. But I haven't ran into any bad situations. But as an American, you will consider them stepping over your boundaries, because they can just search you. They don't need no rhyme or reason to search you. You search your person. I know here personally in Thailand, if the police do knock on your door, and this might be a tip for you guys that might want to come out here, that they technically cannot enter your domicile, your apartment, or your villa, unless it's a serious reason why. I know some cats got banged up one time for having a party, and they made the fatal mistake of letting the police in when they didn't have to let the police in, and those guys end up staying, I believe, almost a year in prison for something very minute. So just keep that in mind if you are coming out of Thailand. I think the most that you can do is pretty much, that's the thing. I would say, reading to your rights, of being a tourist, whatever country you go to. But I'm gonna be honest with you, what you're gonna have to deal with overseas is rapid corruption everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a payola system when you overseas. Some people are very comfortable with that. I give you a prime example of a prime story right here. I had a friend of mine, definitely not going to mention his name, that I was riding with a couple of other guys. All right, it was three Americans riding around Brazil, and they get put over by police. And I've heard a similar story in Colombia. They get put over by the police, and the police search the cars, and the police find drugs. All right, find cocaine, find marijuana, find whatever. Now in America, your ass is going to jail 9 times out of 10. All right, 9 times out of 10, you're going to jail. All right, 10 times out of 10, you probably going to jail for having drugs, especially hard drugs on you. But in South America, they might tell you, hey man, we got 300 ways to solve this. You know what I'm saying? So in certain cases, it might benefit you to be in a third world country when you do silly stuff like that. You get pulled over and you find drugs. It's a payola system in the majority of these countries outside the West. All right, so that's one thing. It's also things that you can definitely take advantage of, and the guy on the Nomad Capitalist, shout out to Nomad Capitalist, by the way. The guy he was interviewing, who has various properties and investments all around the world, he was just saying what I've been trying to explain to you guys in this channel for a very long time. That is a lot of ways to take advantage of not only your American dollar, but the relationships. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, a lot of people in these countries, all right, like to do business with Americans. Americans have a good track record for the most part, from what I can tell personally, of paying on time, paying their stuff off. I've noticed that, from doing business in Colombia, that, a lot of people don't pretty much pay their bills, if at all, or very late. And when they get an American their property or try to get American their business, they welcome Americans, especially when you're not taking a job from a local. All right. So that's two things I want to tell you guys. If you can provide a job for people, I believe Colombia has a really strange law too with one of the work visas, business visas. I'm sorry, one of the business visas, to where if they even catch you picking up a broom, you can get your visa revoked. Basically saying that you can own a business in Colombia, you can own a business, but if they even catch you doing anything that they feel like a local could do, an employee can do, they will revert your visa. So if you own a business, you can't even do anything technically, physically at that business that they deem that an employee should be doing. A local employee, somebody you should employ. So just keep that in mind. Marty W says Colombians barely use microwaves, but I barely missed them. Sugar out coast to the U.S. is bringing in more people from the so-called third world than it's to where we are going to be in the future. People are taking note, man. Especially with Biden's new taxation, man. People are definitely taking note in America. Is it worth it? Like I say, for me, it wasn't too much of a large adjustment coming from America to South America. The infrastructure is there in most of the cities. Now, I'm pretty sure you go outside. So that's the one thing I would say about Brazil too, and Colombia. When you really take them long road trips around, and you start to get outside of the major cities, you will see that, man. It really is like a jungle out there. You know what I'm saying? People are living that country lifestyle. The majority of people in the country are living that country lifestyle. A lot of people, a lot of women that you meet, or a lot of your friends you meet, a lot of them come from the countryside, and some of them get tired of living on a farm or whatever, and they start to migrate to the major cities, try something a little different. Try to make a come up or something like that. So that's definitely the case in most cases. All right. Read his comments. Read his comment by Doug No Music. Says you gain more than you lose when you leave the U.S., but it depends on your mindset. You gain more than you lose when you leave the U.S., but that depends on your mindset. Going to a new country with a positive mindset will give you riches. Vice versa, negativity breeds negativity. Very good point. Very good point. Shout out to Doug No Music. We kicked it a little bit down there in Brazil. Oh, Black Haven, how did the conversation end with the American women you met in Thailand? You know what, man? I think it's one of them conversations where you're making small talk, and you just see something like some eye candy, and you just kind of just fade away from the conversation. They start talking like, okay, all right, yeah, nice talking to you, and just kind of keep it moving. So we didn't really have a official end of the conversation because it was so much eye candy coming out of 808. But it was interesting because I'm like, well, if it's such a third world country, like why are you here? Like, why do you feel it's safe here? But a lot of times it's funny when you run into American women. Some American women are cool. Don't get me wrong. I got a couple of homegirls that I love dearly that I met in Colombia and Brazil that are cool as hell. They'll definitely look out for you. Shout out to my girl D. But you also get some American girls, and they can be white or black, that will kind of look at you like, what are you doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you got money to travel? Like, well, you staying here for months? Like, what? All types of stuff you'll get from them. And the funny thing is, they might try to date the locals, and their dating experiences, from what I hear, from them personally, it's horrible. It's the total opposite of what our dating experience is when you come to these countries. Dutchy. He said he got to try to. I saw what happened. Shout out to my boy Dutchy. Shout out to Dutchy, man. Got the motorbike. But yeah, man. So fam, listen, that was a quick little show. Do me a favor. The link is at the top of the comment section or the chat section. We're gonna all migrate to Richie Mac's channel. All right, we're gonna do Thailand versus Brazil on his channel. All right, guys. So do me that favor. The link is at. As a matter of fact, let me post the link right here once again. All right. All right, family. So everybody go over to Richie Mac's channel. That's the link right there. I just posted it. All right. Peace.